Good evening, YouTube. Good evening. How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the first episode of The Process. Now, this live show is probably going to run around 30 minutes. It's going to be every Wednesday at around 7 o'clock. And it's meant to, the purpose of the show is to teach you something about YouTube that maybe you didn't know. Hopefully make you a better YouTuber. I'm really looking forward to it. Tonight we're going to talk about thumbnails, how to do thumbnail cutouts, how to put the effects on the cutouts in your thumbnails, that sort of stuff. We're going to talk about that. You're going to know how to do that in Photoshop by the end of tonight. Let's jump right into it, guys. So, for those of you who do not know, this is Photoshop right here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and open up my normal standard thumbnail file. Tonight I'm going to show you guys how to how to cut out an image for your thumbnail. And some people know how to do this, some people don't. I use Photoshop. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can do it. First thing I'm going to do is show you the best kind of pictures to use for this sort of thing. Like I said, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask Michael T from Tech Examined, and he'll make sure that he forwards me that question. And hopefully my phone actually pays enough attention so that I can hear it. But you can see this was my last one here. We're gonna go over here and remove this image, and we're gonna take this away. Now, at some point in the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna show you guys how to do gradients and all that kind of stuff. You can do gradient on any image. It does not matter. And I want to show you guys because it's a really cool technique that can really make your thumbnails look extremely professional. And a lot of people don't really know how to do it. But let's see here. We're going to go into my files, and we're going to bring up the first image we're going to take a look at here. Let's go with this one here. Boom. Alright, so one of the things you're going to notice, and this is just an image that I downloaded off of, this is just an image I got off of Google search. I searched for people, this one came up. I thought it was a pretty interesting candidate to show you guys how I do my cutouts. One of the things that you're going to notice, and this is something you want to look for in images where you're going to do cutouts on, he uses a technique kind of like what you see here where I'm in focus and my background is blurry. Well, you notice the guy in the picture here, he's in focus and the background is blurry. This makes it a whole lot easier to use the technique that I'm going to show you first. The first thing I like to do is go up here to this little quick selection tool. And this is, oh, I got to place the file. I go up and I use the quick selection tool. Now, a lot of people don't like to do this. I seem to get pretty good results with it, so I don't mind doing it. Basically, as long as you have the image, let's see, let's make sure I have the actual image selected. Yeah, as long as you have the image selected, you can just drag your mouse over this. And because he is in more focus than the rest of the image, it makes it pretty easy. Now, you can actually see his shoulder is a little bit out of focus here. If you want to unselect these areas, you just click the Alt key and you just go back over those areas, and you can see it goes back and unselects that stuff. And there we go. And we'll just keep going around the image. Come on, keep going. You can do it. I don't usually have to do this while I'm live streaming. You can see it got some of his hair in here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Just hit Alt, and if you want to push your selection back out, you can do that. We're gonna get his ear in here, and you know, I could include this hair. I don't know. Let's see what happens when we do include it, because I'll show you how to remove it if you don't want it in there anyways. You can see some of this hair at the top I clipped out. We get pretty tight around the ear here, that sort of stuff. You're going to kind of see why in a moment. So once you do this on your image, you got to rasterize it. So I'll click the erase button right up here, and then I'll just click the image, and it tells you that the photo has to be rasterized before you can remove anything. Once I do that, I just go up, I hit edit and clear, and boom. We now have a cutout of our dude. See, and you can see here that this hair in the back kind of looks janky. It doesn't look right. I don't like how that looks. So what I'll usually do is I'll undo it. I'll undo the clear, and I'll go back to my selection tool, and I'll say, you know what, let's just get rid of that because it looks janky. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. In fact, what we probably could do is we could go down like this along there, and then we'll bring this back by hitting the Alt key there, and we'll go down around his ear and just kind of get yourself a line that you can appreciate. And I have a funny feeling that that's probably going to look better than what we had before. So now I'm going to go to edit, and we're going to go to clear, and boom. I think that looks better. You might not think so. Who knows about these eyes? I really have no idea. But what you do now is I'll go to select, and I will deselect everything. So now we've got our image to play with. If there's something you don't like about the image, that's okay. You can see we still have a white line around the entire image. So what you want to do for that is you want to go ahead and get your erase tool out. Just erase that white line. Woo! It's pretty simple. This will go fast enough. And we'll erase that little white line around our little feller. Come on, little feller. There we go. Now, you're also going to see over here, you've got a little bit of the background bleeding in. Now, what you can do, I'll hit plus, or I'll hit Command and plus, and I'll go down. Ooh, look at how fancy. I'll go down here into this area where it's just a little bit of bleed through, and I'll just take my eraser, and I'll erase right along this line. And you'll see why you kind of want to do this in a moment. There's a pretty good reason. If you're going to add effects to your guy, you want this to be a pretty nice stiff line without a lot of extra garbage in there, because if you have a lot of extra garbage in there, it will mess up any effects, outlining effects or stuff like that you decide to do on your dude. And then I'll usually kind of go around. You can see we got a weird cut on his ear. That's going to mess something up. It actually went all the way up. I don't like how that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to select this, and we're going to go back to the quick selection before we removed it. And we're going to grab our quick selection tool, and we're going to make sure that that doesn't actually happen. So we're going to go to Alt, and we're just going to play around in here just to make sure that none of those weird pixels are selected and that his ear actually is attached to his head, because that's what we want. Oh, there we go. So now we've got it. Now we're going to hit edit, and then we're going to clear this again. And there we go. His ear looks definitely more attached to his face than it seemed to be before. And then I'm going to go down here with my, we're going to deselect everything. You have no idea how long you can sit there and try to erase things while your thing is selected and it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you deselect everything. And then I'll go back here and I'll clean up these remnants to make this line nice and tight. Now, once you get to the point where you do this pretty often, you're going to be amazed at how fast you can do stuff like this. And you don't have to go crazy. If you see when I zoom out here, that looks like a pretty nice line. Now, I can still see it there, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't like that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do some more. We got to get that line too. I'm going to go and I'm going to do some more because, you know, why not? It's a half-hour show. I've got to do something. We're gonna clean this up real nice right along here. Just make it a nice straight line. Get rid of all the weird discoloration that was the background. Super easy. I'm gonna go and let's zoom out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit. We'll clean up this line around here. Now you're gonna notice through the top of his hair, kind of have a little bit of bleed through from the background because of the way that the exposure was done on the image. I probably wouldn't clean any of this up, but it, you know, probably adds some gray. So you could theoretically go in here and just kind of clean up that gray. He'd probably appreciate that. We'll get rid of a little bit of the gray. As long as it kind of looks natural, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. And we've got some kind of weird thing going on here. I don't like that. So I'll clean that up. There we go. There we go. Look at how pretty he looks now. So I just kind of, I'll zoom in again. I'll go around and make sure. You see we kind of got a little bit of the line going around his face. We've got some green coming around in here, which isn't all that cool. Now for the bearded area here, I don't really want to do too much with that because, you know, I don't know. Get some of this green out of here. And there we go. I think we're in pretty good shape here. So once you have this cut out, give him a haircut. That's right, Michael T. That's right. So once you have this cut out, a lot of people like to put cool effects in here. In Photoshop, you go up to layer, and you're going to go to layer style. And the most common effect that you see on something like this is the stroke effect. And let me bring this menu over onto this screen here. There we go. Now you can see already how I screwed up. You see there's this massive line down here? That's bad. That is bad. Because that looks freaking horrifying. That looks horrifying. So no matter what I do, I've already screwed this up and I have to go back to the beginning to fix it. Because there was obviously a line going down his shirt that I didn't catch. Which sucks. Because there's nothing you can do. So, I want to show you another way to do exactly what I just did. That's kind of a more common thing. That can help you avoid doing things like this. So let's go back to the original image here. I don't know if I can back all the way out to the original image or not. Probably not. Probably not. So I'm just going to delete this one. And I'm going to show you another way to do an outline where you're not going to have the accidental situation that I just had. Although, yeah, to be honest with you, I still like doing it that way because a lot of times it's faster. But you can see the pitfalls to doing it that way right there. Yeah, I know. I see you, buddy. Alright, so for this particular method, you're actually not going to destroy any of the original picture, which is nice because you can always go back and fix it. For this one, you're going to select the pen tool right here. And we're going to zoom in for this one a little bit. We're going to go down here. And we're going to start in the bottom right hand corner. And basically, you could just go ahead and click around your individual. And this one kind of takes a little more time, you would think, but at the same time, maybe not, because some of the problems that I ran into the other way, you're going to run into those from time to time. I don't usually run into quite that many problems, but it does happen. It does happen. So if you do it this way, you're pretty much going to get what you want. And we're going to cut around his ear. We're going to leave this extra hairdo stuff out again, because I don't like how it looks. You know what I'm saying? You even got a little bit of the top of his ear here. I don't want that in there either. We're going to pretend his ear is smaller than it actually is. You know why? Because it's called artistic license. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you're just going to take artistic license to make it look okay. Most times when you do one like this, the dude is going to be making like a really goofy ass face or something like that too. We don't really have one of those. I know when I usually do my cutouts, I'm making a really stupid face or something. And we're going to go through here, and you can see he doesn't actually have any gray hair. The reason why I had gray hair is because the background is gray. We're going to see how cutting this out will work. You know, the beauty of doing it this way is that you can move these lines later on too. So if I don't like how this looks, which I don't really care for that right there already, I could tell you. No. Alright, well, we're just going to leave it go. We're going to leave it go for now. I'll move it in a minute. And we're going to come around his little ear there. We're going to go down the beard. Alright. And let's go down here, and then over, and then down. We're just about there. We are just about there. And honestly, you don't have to be really particular about how you do this cutout, because I'm going to show you in a second that you can curve lines and do all kinds of other really cool stuff with this particular technique so that you can make it what you want. And boom. There we go. So now I can go up here. Alright. That's what it is. So we want to go layer. There we go. Alright. See? This is what happens when you just when you're on the spot. I'm sorry that took so damn long. But you can see the end result is pretty nice. And usually what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll erase stuff up. But since I just spent about 10 minutes trying to actually remember why it wasn't choosing the correct path to do the cutout, I'm probably not going to clean this up as much as I probably should. But I don't know. But you can see you get the same sort of issues with this mask type as I would with the other. Some will spend a lot more time doing it than I did. But I want to get into some of the effects that you're going to put on here when you're done. So I showed you two ways that you can actually create the cutouts. I want to show you some of the styles that you can put on here. So the most common one is the stroke. You see this all the time. That one's set to inside. We're going to go with the outside stroke. You can basically set this as small as you want. You see this in, I don't know, 70% of thumbnails out there. So that's how they do that. I kind of like the glow effect as well. I think it's pretty cool. The outer glow effect. So you can see what this does for you. You can go around and mess with it. You can see the line is kind of off right here. So if I was going to use this as part of my thumbnail, I'd probably move them down a little bit just to avoid having to mess around with that line too much. But you can also adjust how much noise is in the thing, so you can get kind of some crazy effects in there. It's kind of fun. I like it. But sometimes I will use this effect to do a stroke and then an outer glow, so it kind of looks like it's tapering off a little bit. And you can definitely tell how fast my system is running right now, because that should be going away. You've got your spread here, which you can see it gives you a little example. It shows you how far out it goes. You maybe don't want your solid spread too far, and then you can adjust your size right here. Everybody wants to be able to adjust their size. So I mean, something like this gives you a really nice kind of outer glow to the dude. Now I was going to go 30 minutes, but I'm going to go longer because there's another technique that I kind of want to show you here. Because it doesn't have to always be about people. You can do anything with this. Oh, and I just want to show you that, you know, this is like a non-damaging thing. If I wanted to, I could turn off the mask, and the background of the picture would come back. So when you do it the second way that I showed you, it doesn't eliminate the background of the picture, which is kind of nice. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to blank that out. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you a different style of cutout thumbnail that you see a lot in tech videos. That's not going to let me do that, huh? Alright. Thumbnail cutouts. Let's use this one. This will be fun. So if you wanted to do something like this, you notice I have the background is totally blurred out in this image. I'm going to once again use the tool that I like to use personally. I feel like it causes the least amount of problems. We're going to use this selection tool. We're going to go through here, and Then we're going to go and select everything, or unselect it right here. And you can probably guess that we're going to have a similar problem to the one we had last time. But most times it's nowhere near as bad as it was then. It's probably worse right now because I'm streaming. And of course that just causes my laptop to have a lot more stress on it than it might normally have. So usually this goes a lot faster when I'm not streaming. I want to get this little spot in there, and that looks pretty good. Now some of the things that you can do if you decide to use this effect is I can go into the selection here, and I can modify the border that I just created. I can make it wider, I can smooth it out. So if I go to smooth and I select, let's see here, let's bring that up. I select 5 pixels. Let me show you what's going to happen here. Some of the edges will get cut off. Stuff like this isn't quite as sharp. So if you have an image with a lot of corners and that sort of stuff, you don't want to do any smoothing. But for something like this, you can get away with it. You can see that I don't have the fingertips selected here. That would have been bad. And then we want to make sure that we get everything selected in there. Selected in there. All right. So that looks not too bad. Let's see what happens when we cut this out. And we're going to go to edit and clear. And let's see. That does not look half bad. So we're going to deselect it. I'm going to go around and we're going to cut all this stuff out of here. And we're going to cut the stuff on the bottom out. And boom. We're going to go down here, clear out some of the edging here. I don't like how that's kind of dark. Shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. You're not going to get it all, especially because I didn't. Oh, we went too far. Let's zoom in a little bit. Why not? We can do that. We can do that. It also, if you notice, it didn't cut out the center. So I'll hit that again in a moment. We're going to go ahead and shave some of this darkness off of here. And I'm just using the eraser. It's the simplest way to do this. 9 times out of 10 when you create a thumbnail, you're done with it. You're moving on to the next video. So why spend a whole heck of a lot of time preserving the original image? It doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going to go back in here and we're going to select the center piece here. And we're going to go ahead and use the Alt key to draw these back in. And let's get the whole finger in there. And let's get this whole finger in there. And I'm going to go to edit and clear. And boom, that clears that out. Alright, so we've got, let's undo the select here. And we can go around and clean this up with our eraser. So using something like this is can be really cool. So here's what I would do. I would probably I'm selecting my box. I'll do shift and stretch because you don't want it to kind of get out of whack. You want it to be the same shape, generally speaking, that it was when you started doing it. Put it down there like that. You could do all kinds of things with an image like this. You know, I would probably put text somewhere maybe down here on the. Let's change this text up. Let's say. There we go. Let's just go with that. And there you go. Now you could theoretically add another background to this. So what you might And you probably would actually want to add another background to this. You can see I did a gradient effect on that. But let's you know what? I think I want to add a background to this. That will be fun. We're going to go to, let's see, what do I got here? Sorry. I definitely have something that will fit right in here, I think. There we go. This one will work. And we'll drop that baby in there. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna stretch it out so it covers the whole screen. And what we'll do is then I'll just take that layer and put it behind. I have to place it first. And I'll take this layer and I will just drag it down below the little friend heart layer. And there we go. So then you got stuff like that. You could even put this in there if you wanted to. Who knows? That's how you get the cutout. Now you can do the cutout effects with the hand layer as well. You're going to see, especially, I think that cutout effects and all that sort of stuff are a lot more effective, or very effective, for tech channels. They work pretty nice. Layer style. And we're going to try stroke again. I want to show you, so here we got the stroke going on. I don't like that text there either. Let's see, but you can add color overlay, color gradients. You can add an outer glow, an inner glow, a drop shadow. If you don't know what that is, you can see right there. It would add a little bit of a colorized effect to the thing. We could add something. Usually these are somewhat dark, and it's not going to really work particularly awesome for this image. This is something that's more effective with the text. Actually do a whole heck of a lot. You can decide which angle your drop shadow is at, the distance that it's going to be, so we can kind of play around. You see how that works? So we could play around. I would probably move this down here. I don't really like it in the middle of the heart there, but you can and then I'm gonna go to drop shadow right here. Come on. And you can move around where you want the shadow to go depending upon the image that you're using.